Hello there. Well, that's not exactly what you expect from a modern NATO army, is it? Now, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe, click the little bell, select all, and then like and comment below. So the German army turns up at a NATO exercise with 18 of its Puma infantry fighting vehicles, and they all spectacularly fail to proceed, with all 18 of them breaking down. And then we get news of a leaked German Defence Ministry assessment that reports 2/3 of its most modern equipment is basically broken. And only last month, the Mirror was reporting that a leaked report from top German military generals has said that the country faces being wiped off the map if Russia invades Europe, which it states is at its likeliest since 1945. And Der Spiegel got hold of a leaked confidential strategy paper that says in its opening that war in Europe is a reality again, and is claiming to show that Germany is preparing for war with Russia. And part of the preparations for this is for Germany to become the world's third largest spender on the military, and it has already committed 100 billion euros to the project and a defence budget increase to take it to over 50 billion euros every 5 years. But military development takes time, and it's not good to start from a low baseline of 2/3 of your equipment being unusable. When the times are good and the world appears to be a peaceful place, it's so easy to get sucked into a frame of mind that nothing will change, and if we see someone looking a bit belligerent, then that's the time to start worrying about defence. The trouble is that those who wish you harm don't knock on the castle gates and say they're giving you warning that they're coming to attack in 10 years' time, do they? No, they trick and deceive and then try to catch you off guard and unawares. In fact, come to think about it, looking at recent Western governments, had an aggressor come forward and given a stark warning that they will be attacking us in 10 years' time, I reckon they'd have done nothing about it anyway. They'd have said, "No worry, we've got a whole decade to prepare for war." Then got on with defence cuts to pay for more diversity officers and lived experience advisors. But the most important question for this new German military, well, two questions actually. The first is, how diverse will it be? And the second is, how will their tanks, warships and fighter jets operate without petrol and diesel engines or aviation fuel? And how ecologically friendly are the munitions? Then there's the matter of how to fight a total war with a good work-life balance. And one assumes the top brass will be working from home and directing the battles via Zoom. In good news for the UK fishing community, they will be able to land 30,000 tonnes more catch next year due to the Brexit fishing deal. This is part of the slow process over several years of regaining control over our waters, and according to the government, this is an increase of 27%, something that would never have been achievable while we were still in the EU. The UK fishing industry will benefit from 140,000 tonnes of fishing opportunities worth over £280 million in 2023 after the UK today, the 20th of December 2022, reached an agreement with the EU, said yesterday's government press release. And it went on to say that in the same week, the UK secured catch limits worth a further £256 million with the North East Atlantic coastal states, while an agreement with Norway last month will see the UK fishing industry benefit from fishing opportunities worth £5 million in 2023. On the post-Brexit negotiations with the EU, this slow ratchet in the UK's favour will last until 2026, and then it will be based on annual negotiations. So, the wokeness spreads, and once again the book 1984 becomes an instruction manual rather than a warning. The California-based Stanford University has decided to ban certain words and phrases from its in-house lexicon to prevent a wildfire of offence to consume its hallowed halls. Gone are the terms "to flog a dead horse" and "killing two birds with one stone," as they could encourage harm to animals. No more will people be called tone deaf, as it is an ableist term. And another ableist term that devalues the disabled that is now banned is blind study. That will now be replaced with masked study. And on a quest to not offend other cultures, other banned words and phrases include bury the hatchet, guru, and powwow. And the word seminal has been identified as male-dominated language. And although the original flight recorders were called black boxes because they were actually painted black, but they are now bright orange to ensure they can be easily located after a crash, but they are still referred to as black boxes to this day, as people sort of know what they are. But Stanford says that this is a big no-no. Stanford must have a low regard for the calibre of their intakes. And now something on the strikes. Over to you, Richard.
Thank you, Jeff. Before I start, I would like to wish Mark Stein a speedy recovery. Get well soon, okay? Right, the system is about to collapse. We live in a time of strikes where the people no longer trust politicians and their motives, and the Tories cannot deny their role over the past 3 years has been a major driving, if not the major driving force in this erosion of trust. And it is clear that the Tories have utterly failed and betrayed our country. Workers from both the public and private sectors with union representation have decided that enough is enough, and strength in numbers is the only way to increase their wages and improve their working conditions. So the entire system is now at risk. But don't listen to the gloating left, because a degenerate Tory government doesn't mean Labour have any moral high ground or instant mandate to govern by default. No, it just means the Tories have failed. So, more than anything else, this is a message to our dear Prime Minister, our beloved Prime Minister, Mr. Rishi Sunak. Mr. Sunak, the people did not elect you. They do not want you. And absolutely nobody in this country can relate to your billionaire lifestyle. You are not fit to make decisions on our behalf, and you are not fit to lead us. You are nothing more than a stooge for the World Economic Forum and their satanic agenda which they push. And your place in the history books will record this. Why do you think you have a right to dictate anyone's level of pay and tell nurses or anyone else that they cannot have pay increases whilst they are trying to meet the rises in the cost of living crisis? Yet, you live in luxury with the status that Caiaphas could only have dreamed of. The demands of these workers may or may not be extreme and unreasonable, but you, sir, are not the person to tell them what they can and cannot have, because your hideous wealth precludes you morally from making any such decisions. Like your predecessors, you are sustained by the media, who give just an illusion of criticism of your premiership, whilst no real argument is formed against you and your right to rule. And that is very suspicious, but to some of us, not wholly unexpected. You see, dear viewers, people like our Prime Minister and the lines of political succession which they fall within are chosen, but not by us, but by shadowy figures operating in the world of politics, using politicians as mere chess pawns in a game. And as for the media, their reporting on political events is little more than commenting upon chess moves. As I have said before, I don't do detail, because, like you, I am a frog in a pot of boiling water on a stove, and I don't care too much for the exact precise temperature of the pot, or the depth of the water in the pot. All I know is we should not be in this pot. and thus I care not for debating the exact temperature. Over 14 years, Jeff and I have worked together, dissecting the news, and during that time, one daily ritual has become essential, and that is to give the newspaper headlines a tertiary read-through every morning before breakfast, and then begin to analyse what has been released as truth to the masses by the media. But the one thing we realised many years ago is there is nothing more powerful than a headline in its impact upon the way opinions are formed, because most people, unfortunately, won't read beyond the headline, because the headline is, in their minds, a statement of fact that underpins the content of any news article, and people like to believe they are being given facts, so to them the headline, well, that will be sufficient reading. So, don't trust the media, just trust Jeff. Speaking of which, back over to the main man.
Thank you, Richard. And finally, when subscribing, please don't forget to press that little bell and also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. And thank you all so much for taking the time to watch the show.